Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Naja'atu Tijani. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website nta.ng/live. And for more updates, you can follow all our social media platforms displayed on the screen. Let's begin with news from Senegal. President Muhammadu Buhari is in Dakar, Senegal for the International Development Association for Africa Summit scheduled for this Thursday. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the summit is aimed at driving a resilient recovery for countries hit by climate change, COVID-19, insecurity, and more recently, the war in Ukraine. The International Development Association, an institution of the World Bank, has also earmarked $93 billion for the 20th replenishment cycle coming into effect from the 1st of July this year to the 30th of June 2025. At the high-level event, President Buhari is expected to join other African leaders in an open dialogue on development challenges, priorities and initiatives aimed at charting the way forward for the transformation of their economies. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, speaks on the significance of the summit.
It's one of the major sources for funding the fight against extreme poverty in low-income countries. African leaders are converging here in Dakar in order to agree on a robust and a sustainable plan, strategy, for drawing from the unprecedented large sum of $93 billion the IDA is offering, to countries, 39 of which are in Africa. So Africa really is getting the biggest part of this. And specifically applying to such critical areas as agriculture, poultry, ICT, employment generation, and quite a number of programs that aim at uplifting the quality of life of their own people.
So President Buhari has every reason to be here.
Oh, absolutely, we have. And I know that before we left the country, we had read about criticism of his departure, coming here against the backdrop of the incident at Kuje prison. And our sense of it is that no responsible leadership, no responsible country would stop governance, would stop presidential engagements because they face threats of terrorism.
Meanwhile, 3 African leaders, including host President Macky Sall of Senegal and Umaru Embalo of Guinea-Bissau, have visited the Nigerian leader to commiserate with Nigerians over the demise of the Secretary General of OPEC, Mohamed Sanusi Barkindo, describing his death as a great loss to Africa and praying God to grant him eternal life and Nigerians the fortitude to bear the loss. The lofty efforts of the late OPEC Secretary General Mohamed Barkindo will continue to resonate with people globally, and Lydia Sampson takes a look back at some milestones he achieved in the stabilization of the global oil and gas industry.
Mohamed Sanusi Barkindo gave over 40 years of selfless service to the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. His dedication and leadership inspire OPEC and indeed the global oil and gas industry positively. For many years throughout Barkindo's long career, several central themes had driven his infectious passion for the petroleum industry, an unwavering belief in the ability of petroleum to towards poverty eradication, a steadfast commitment to sustainable development, the importance of dialogue and multilateralism, and most fundamentally, treating everyone with respect and kindness.
And as to token cracked when it's come to the oil industry, it's a huge loss indeed.
As OPEC Secretary General, a position he assumed on August 1st, 2016, Barkindo was a visionary leader and eloquent communicator who played a key role in forming the historic Declaration of Cooperation at the end of 2016. He served the organization with great distinction and helped it successfully navigate two major industry downturns, 2015 to 2016 and 2020 to 2021. He was instrumental in the setting up of the Charter of Cooperation and was a consummate diplomat in further advancing dialogue and cooperation with a variety of industry stakeholders.
The work that Mr. Barkindo did as the GMD of NNPC did tremendously, made our systems work, brought in enormous transformation into the company, which we are today benefiting from and which we are building on today, and we will surely miss him in the NNPC.
The value of Adamawa is also a kingmaker, so it's a great loss to the emirate, a great loss to the state, and a great loss to the country.
Despite the attainment of so many heights in his career, Barkindo remained a selfless man of great humility and decency, treating everyone irrespective of rank or office with dignity and courtesy. This made him a trailblazer, widely admired and respected throughout the globe.
The future for this industry, for oil and gas, remain bright. The data, the statistics, and the science all buttresses that point.
Those who were fortunate enough to know and work alongside him will miss his warmth, kindness, and sense of humor. His example of dedication and duty was not only unparalleled, but many say it will inspire future leaders in the industry. He was always true to his respectful nature, always there to listen, offer guidance and show leadership. He was known as a genuine OPEC icon. His last words to friends indicated that he was happy to have concluded his tenure as Secretary General. He had served the best he could and that he was proud of those who had served with him. Barkindo elevated the organization's position and role as an active and responsible partner in the oil industry and international community through both his deeds and words. Given his scholarly nature and the fact that his speeches regularly use quotes to emphasize points and opinions, it is perhaps apt to leave the final word to one of Barkindo's favorite scribes, the famous poet Jalal al-Din Muhammad Rumi. I quote, "Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, because for those who loved with heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation." End of quote.
I would like to ask if you would please just to stand with me in a minute's silence for Mohammed Barkindo.
Maritime Barkindo was here alive, part of the energy. But now you can see the OPEC stand at the Nigerian Oil and Gas Conference is empty, indicative of the emptiness that his death has brought to the global energy industry and in particular Nigeria. He may have gone, but many believe his legacies will continue to speak and live on. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
The Secretary General, African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, Dr. Omar Farouk Ibrahim, has also commiserated with President Muhammadu Buhari on the passing of Dr. Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo, the Secretary General of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. In a letter of condolence to the President, the APO Secretary General describes the death of Barkindo as a huge loss to his family, Nigeria, Africa, the OPEC family, the global oil and gas industry, and the President of Nigeria, who he publicly acknowledges as a great source of inspiration, guidance, and wisdom. The APO Secretary General also praised Almighty God to grant the Barkindo family and Nigerians the fortitude to bear the huge loss. Similarly, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has described the sudden death of the OPEC Secretary General, Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo, as a huge loss, not only to Nigeria, but the global oil industry. In a condolence message, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation says his death is also a personal loss in view of their close working relationship. While extending condolences to the government and people of Adamawa State, the Barkindo family and associates, as well as the entire global oil community, the SGF prays God to grant the deceased Al-Jannat Firdaus. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has resigned amid growing pressure from Member Parliament. The Prime Minister says the process of choosing a new leader and a Prime Minister needs to begin. However, he will remain at number 10 Downing Street until a successor is in place. Earlier, about 50 ministers resigned from the government as Boris Johnson faced an unstoppable revolt by his own ministers and aides, including senior members of his cabinet, saying they no longer have faith in his leadership after a series of scandals, the latest involving an ally accused of improper sexual conduct. This triggered the gradual resignations and letters of no confidence from junior ministers and MPs. The United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed at the launch of the State of Food Security and Nutrition World Report says efforts at reaching Sustainable Development Goal 2 are proving insufficient in the face of a more challenging and uncertain context, making the figures compelling and outrageous. Hamman Jabani reports.
The State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World Sophie 2022 report indicates that world hunger rose further in 2021, with between 708 and 828 billion people facing hunger. Almost 3.1 billion people could not afford a healthy diet and not on track to achieve global nutrition targets. This statistics indicates that in many ways, the intensification of the major driver of food security and malnutrition are not addressed.
We could still be facing chronic hunger in 2030 at the same level as in 2015 when the 2030 agenda was launched. This is a shocking report card of our efforts to end hunger, and we can and we must do better.
While there are efforts to make progress towards SDG 2, they are proving insufficient in the face of a more challenging and uncertain context.
Our visions and commitments to ensure sufficient food and nutritious diets for everyone, everywhere, must be followed by action.
Food and Agriculture Organization and other core partners say state and non-state actors need to rethink how to adjust existing public budgets to make healthy diet more affordable in a sustainable manner, as well as leaving no one behind.
We must not only be worried about the recent setbacks in progress towards SDG 2, but about the current and the future context as well.
We must also learn from the past and look to the future. We must urgently scale up investments in long-term sustainable development today.
Conflicts, crises, climate change, and COVID-19 are driving a global nutrition crisis, and the poorest, most vulnerable children are paying the highest price.
This new report shows how realigning food and agricultural policies can increase access to nutritious foods and make food systems more healthy, equitable, and sustainable.
Participants agree for resilient building, reduce inflation, open the market, empowering local farmers and women, among other recommendations. This is the 4th edition of the Sophie Report launch. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Hajj rites have commenced in Saudi Arabia, with pilgrims moving to Mana, which is the first step in performing the Hajj. Yusuf Umar monitored the movement of some Nigerian pilgrims and now reports.
These are Nigerian pilgrims from Nasarawa State moving to Mashair, which signals Nigeria's commencement of the 2022 Hajj rites. The pilgrims, who are in high spirit, are full of gratitude to Allah for being among the 1 million Muslims across the globe who are privileged to perform this year's Hajj.
This Hajj is a special Hajj because of the numbers of the pilgrims that are going to perform this year's Hajj. And so there are a lot of changes, like the bed space. There are a lot of spaces in between the spaces. And I think we're good to go, and we thank God.
As part of final arrangement for Nigerian pilgrims, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria held its pre-Arafat seminar with a call on all stakeholders to give their best towards a hitch-free Hajj operation.
Like I said, the Commission of Operation is in Nigeria presently in Abuja to ensure that the remnant of the pilgrims get here.
Out of the 43,000 slots allocated to Nigeria by the Saudi authorities for the 2022 Hajj, about 42,000 pilgrims from state and tour operators have been successfully airlifted by NACON to Saudi Arabia. In Mecca, Saudi Arabia, Yusuf Umar, NTA News.
And despite the assurance by the National Hajj Commission to airlift all registered pilgrims for the 2022 Hajj, the hopes of some who are going through tour operators seem to have been dashed, as the prospective pilgrims and their operators who have been at the airport are complaining about communication gap between them and the regulatory body, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria.
Make Hajj besides dashed?
Of course it's dashed. There is nobody. 2 days ago the chairman walked out and said he was coming. They are going to the SGF's office. They are going to get us the letter of approval for the 2 days to be granted. In fact, when these 2 days was given, we thought it was their handwork, but we now knew that it wasn't their handwork, because these 2 days was extended to every country of the world.
When contacted, the Commission's officials promised to get back to NTA. Let's now join Hingino in Lagos for more updates on Nationwide. Hello, Hingino.
Hello, Naja'atu. The Police Public Relations Officer CSP Muyiwa Adejobi has reacted to the recent jailbreak at Kuje Prison, Abuja, which he described as unfortunate. He said the Nigeria Police Force is in joint collaboration with the Correctional Center in the ongoing thorough investigation to unravel details of the incident. Amakao caught up with the first Public Relations Officer in Lagos and now reports.
The attack on Kuje prisons, which was said to have occurred in the late hours of Tuesday, 5th July 2022, claimed lives, while hundreds of inmates escaped from the facility, although 443 have been recaptured. The Nigeria Police Force promised to provide the needed support as a security agency in uncovering perpetrators of the crime.
We are working with our colleagues in Nigerian Correctional Service to have some figures. We are helping them with both the ground troops are moving, and of course our area support. That's our choppers have been assisting to see how we can fish them out.
The force PRO shed more light on issues concerning increasing cases of kidnapping in parts of the country and other crimes.
The concept of community policing must come to play at this time, where everybody must be involved in policing system. Having interest in policing your community should be a civic responsibility.
CSP Adejobi said security of lives and property is a collective responsibility of all Nigerians, with assurance of the force to curtail crimes and criminality across the country. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Away from security now, many have been sent to early graves, families homeless, property and investments destroyed as a result of building collapse and associated disasters. The spate of building collapse in Lagos makes one wonder if there is even a code for the construction industry. And yes, there is. But how effective is it? Jennifer Igwe in this report examines the move by Lagos State to domesticate the National Building Code and how it can help to check the spate of collapse in Lagos and enforcement of standards.
A building caves in and families are left with tales of woe and losses, most times beyond their wildest imaginations. Many of these victims have no clue about technicalities in building construction and standards. However, the National Building Code is like the Bible that is supposed to guide those in the construction industry so they don't commit sins that might leave many with consequences that could be lifelong. The challenge, however, is that the building code existing in the nation today seems a bit obsolete. It was written in year 2006 and has not been fully updated.
Is the first code that Nigeria will have since our independence. Since our independence, we have been using the British building regulations that we got from them since 1937. That's what we have been reviewing.
States are expected to domesticate the code to meet their peculiarities, but experts from the Association of Architects in Lagos insist no state has done so, and this is worrisome.
When you look back to the colonial days, we are more conversant with the British product or the German or the European product. But today we have so many. We are from Turkey, we are from China. But all this needs to be incorporated. And it's because we don't have a standard, or it's because we haven't domesticated the building code. That's why everybody just bring in what they like.
The Lagos State government has initiated steps to update, upgrade, and domesticate the code.
It's about measuring performance standards in building construction and maintenance in the state rather than the design standards that our planning regulation and framework are used to. We will have to translate some of those things to them in their local languages. We will have to go to the informal sector and the artisans.
Reports show that between year 2011 and 2019, over 84 buildings caved in across Nigeria. 63 occurred in Lagos alone, with other building disasters in year 2020 to year 2022. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time now for some messages, and when we return, Nationwide continues in our Port Harcourt studio.
Port Harcourt Network Center. 49 new officers have been enlisted into the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Rivers State at a personal parade exercise in Port Harcourt. Meanwhile, a new state commandant, Michael Oga, has taken over the helm of affairs of the command. Robinson Duratede has more to tell us.
It was a display of military skills by the 49 newly enlisted officers, among whom were 3 commissioned personnel and 10 female officers. They were recruited in 2019 but had delay in training due to the COVID-19 pandemic and other administrative constraints. NNCDC Zone L Commander James Bassey urged the officers to use the experience gathered from the training to promote the mandate of the Corps.
They must be vigilant. People should do their work with honesty and sincerity. They should not compromise in the discharge of their duties.
3 officers received commendation for their outstanding conduct and performance during the training.
We appreciate the President in Chief of the Armed Forces, to appreciate also the instructors. I'm already committed. I am here to dedicate my selfless service to this nation and to the NSCDC as a whole.
Michael Oga, on resumption as the new commandant of the NSCDC in Rivers State, assured the Corps' resolve to stamp out oil bunkering and other illicit activities in the state.
I'm here to build on what has been done here and to improve on the war against vandalism of national critical assets.
Until its redeployment, Oga was the NNCDC commandant in Imo State. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Duratede, NTA News.
300 goat farmers affected by the 2020 flooding in Akwa Ibom State have benefited from the federal government's empowerment gesture. The distribution of goods and feeds to the farmers was made possible through the National Emergency Management Agency in collaboration with Akwa Ibom State government. Correspondent Evelyn Bardo Ebo reports.
Goat production is one of lucrative livestock business in agriculture in the country, hence the intervention exercised by the federal government to enhance its sustenance. The farmers express appreciation to the federal government for fulfilling their promises to alleviate the losses incurred during the 2020 flood disaster. The intervention, the Commission of Agriculture observes, will enhance the production of the West African dwarf goat species, which is gradually going extinct in the state.
Emmanuel is very passionate about agricultural development. That can be seen in the many agricultural policies that he has set up in the state to ensure that Akwa Ibom State is #1 in food sufficiency.
The representative of the Director General NEMA, Mr. Godwin Tepiko, charged the farmers to effectively rear animals for more production.
Flood disaster that affected 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Akwa Ibom was part of that state. Consequent upon that, Mr. President approved through the Emergency Agriculture and Prevention Fund for NEMA to carry out intervention.
High point was the symbolic presentation of a buck, doe and other inputs. The exercise marks the second phase of the intervention program by the federal government. In Uyo, Evelyn Badruepo, NTA News.
And there's our package from here. Nationwide continues with Niger to in Abuja.
Thank you, Gabrielle. And now for traffic updates along the Kaduna-Zaria highway, where motorists were grappling with serious traffic gridlock following an early morning accident between Kao Flyover and Riga Chukum, with motorists spending hours before they could exit the area. The traffic situation has, however, improved with the intervention of relevant authorities. The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, receives various visitors daily seeking to sustain public relations, with the latest being the Nigerian Navy and the organizers of one of the biggest cultural festivals in Kano. Within the army forces, especially the strides which the Nigerian Navy has been exhibiting under the current Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo.
The essence of establishing NTA is to foster unity, and it is what we are known to be doing.
I think there is no better time to do it than now, that you have perhaps a more robust security system.
With a stronger alliance, the Navy leaves with a promise to keep protecting the nation's maritime domain and oil assets. The entertainment world is not left out as a three-man delegation visits the NTA with news of an upcoming cultural language film festival in Kano come November 2022.
It's a component of film markets where filmmakers from all over the globe, especially the African market, speak in one voice.
I would like to congratulate you for your resilience and also for continuing in trying to propagate what is Nigerian and of course what is of a black man.
The Kano Indigenous Languages of Africa Film Market and Festival will also provide a platform to market the films and showcase African culture and food, with details at www.kilaf.org.ng. Najaat. The Nigerian Army 63 Brigade Asaba, Delta State, has provided free medical treatment to more than 700 rural dwellers in Ugume Ndokwa West local government area as part of activities marking the Army Day celebration in the state. The brigade also carried out cleanup exercise at the popular Ubonogu market in the state capital.
The free medical treatment ranges from tests for HIV, sugar level, and blood pressure. Eyeglasses, eye drop, mosquito nets, and drugs were equally offered to the Ogume community.
The objective of this celebration is to showcase the Nigerian Army as an instrument of national unity, integration, and development. The Nigerian Army Day celebration is also aimed at demonstrating the Nigerian Army doctrine, state of its combat readiness, as well as future projections.
One of the beneficiaries of the free medical treatment, the Okpaluku of Ogume, His Royal Highness Okpa Osai Enebede, and others shared their gratitude.
Very beautiful gesture of love.
Surprised to see this. We are thank God for bringing people to us.
At the Obogonogo market in Asaba, the 63 Brigade carried out sanitation exercise to the appreciation of passers-by and traders.
How many people doing this watch us sweeping the road? My prayer is that God will bless them.
Glad to see them. The high officers are doing this, so we are very happy.
The 2022 Army Day celebration has the theme repositioning the Nigerian Army in the joint operations environment, a panacea for success in addressing contemporary security challenges. In Asaba, I am Godfrey Mfekwe, NTA News.
Still on the Nigerian Army Day celebration, which has been marked yearly since 1978. This year, however, the event has taken another dimension as the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association NAOA in Abuja joined its male counterpart in the event being hosted in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
Behind every successful man, there is a woman, they say. The Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association NAOA demonstrated this slogan in Abuja by joining in the 2022 Nigerian Army Day celebration held in Owerri, Imo State, where their husbands participated.
What was the initial thing of NAOA?
Sharing of ideas and encouraging one another in building their leadership ability and how best to contribute to the welfare of their colleagues whose husbands have paid the supreme price in the line of duty is also of concern to NAOA.
The Nigerian Army is fully represented, that the national body is fully represented in Owerri, where outreach have been made to the widows of our fallen heroes, and the same thing is going on all through the chapters of the Nigerian Army. So the essence of this event is actually to grow NAOA through mentorship and team building, so we'll be able to effectively carry out our roles wherever we find ourselves.
The seminar we just had, it's very inspiring. It gives us more directions on how to be a great leader.
We talked about mentorship, ability and leadership, your ability to be a successful leader, what you are expected to attain, what you must possess as a leader.
We have junior officers' wives that are looking up to us. I intend to give them back what I have learned today, to carry them along as a leader and as a wife of a senior officer.
The event was climaxed with sporting activities. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Let's now join our Enugu Network Center where Chinenye is standing by with more updates. Hello, Chinenye.
Hello, Naja Atu. Welcome to Enugu. The Nigeria Learning Passport application has been launched in Enugu by the Enugu State Ministry of Education in collaboration with other key players. Minado Bukobati reports that the unique offline and online learning app was developed by Microsoft and adopted by the federal government to complement digital learning efforts.
Nigeria's Learning Passport app is part of the federal government Education Cloud project for the provision of e-learning from basics to tertiary levels. The Director, Program Research and Survey Department, Ministry of Education, said the app will give unlimited learning access to students at all levels.
This app is brought about by the need to bridge the learning gap that was precipitated by COVID-19.
Applauding the collaborative efforts of UNICEF, federal and state ministries of education in adapting the application for the country, the Honorable Commissioner for Education said it is apt.
Every child in school should be able to register and get connected. A child may not have an Android phone, but the parents may have.
It's an online app and is for digital teaching and learning. So it's going to help me a lot because in the app they upload materials for different subjects.
Now we're having a sit at home every Monday. So there's no need for you staying at home. You can use your phone.
The event was also attended by Catholic Education Commission, Enugu State Basic Education Board, Post-Primary Schools Management Board, Enugu State Universal Basic Education Board, principals and students, among others. In Enugu, Nina Adobio Kobrasi, NTA News.
The annual recruitment exercise of 10,000 constables into the Nigerian police is another major step by the federal government to fight the menace of crimes, unemployment and insecurity. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, was speaking at the personals parade of the 2020 batch of police recruits at the Nigerian Police College, Ojiriba, Enugu State. Chika Ugu reports.
A journey which began in the year 2020 exposed these 511 recruit constables drawn from Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu State to all the forms of training. Represented by the Deputy Inspector General, the Inspector General of Police noted that beyond addressing the manpower deficiency in the force, the federal government has remained committed to the drive to add value and reposition the force.
The federal government policy of recruiting 10,000 police constables, it clearly confirmed the commitment of President Muhammad Buhari to restore the law police primacy by bequeathing to our beloved country a reformed and well-positioned police force.
The constables who will be posted to their states of origin are living with the advice to eschew all forms of misconduct.
Having been well-groomed, I urge you all to be diligent and professionally focused.
Awards were presented to deserving recruits who distinguished themselves.
As we are leaving this place, we are promising the IGP that we are going to be potential police officers and we will abide by all the rules and regulations.
Going to improve our diligence in working as a police officer, helping also in protection of life and property.
The recruitment exercise is spread across the 774 local government areas of the country in Enugu. Chika Ugu, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Enugu. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at www.nta.ng/live and on all our social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. We'll take another break here. Nationwide will continue with Naja Atu in Abuja thereafter. Do stay.
Thanks for staying tuned. We're talking tech matters now. Most people who know their way around cyberspace agree that the quality of life which the information and communication technology tool offers is quite interesting. But for bad news for those who see the space as a haven for nefarious activities, as the federal government has developed a set of rules to sanitize the digital space. Chindima Undubisi tells us more.
With just a click or two on this information superhighway called the internet, interactions and access to information are achieved from anywhere across the globe. Since there are no rules of engagement here except some self-censorship by online managers, disinformation, misinformation, cyberbullying, attacks and all sorts have become the norm. So, countries such as the United States of America, United Kingdom, Canada, and the European Union have risen to the challenge by developing a set of principles that will bring sanity to online activities. Towing this line, Nigeria, through the National Information Technology Development Agency, has come up with its code of practice to regulate online operations, with inputs from big techs that manage these online platforms, Nigerian Communications Commission and National Broadcasting Commission. The Code of Practice sets out procedures to protect fundamental human rights of online users and guards against online harms. It also elicits accountability from operators regarding unlawful and harmful contents.
It's just to extend Nigerian laws into Nigerian cyberspace to make sure whatever is illegal offline is illegal online, and also making sure there is digital diplomacy between Nigeria and these big techs.
Online platforms are to have a registered physical office and pay taxes in Nigeria. Owen is an online newspaper journalist. He says in the digital space where everyone has turned out to be a journalist, the code is necessary.
There should be a kind of regulation for everything that is done. I'm really happy because you have to oversee things. If you don't oversee things and allow people to do it the way they like, it will not be good.
But others seem to differ.
There's already cyber law.
Not by putting chains on the legs of media or online media platforms. Government must have a section that responds to misinformation and disinformation.
For now, the code is in its draft copy with collated public inputs to be reviewed before the final copy is released. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Now, closely related to this tech approach is the smart agriculture to address climate change-induced challenges. But have you heard of smart schools? What exactly are smart schools? Abdul Malik Hassan reports as the Korea International Cooperation Agency and UBEC partner on smart schools.
It was in 2017 when the idea of smart schools to enhance basic education in Nigeria was conceived. Then the outbreak of COVID-19 in 2020 halted education for months, and students were left to their own devices. Perhaps some may have forgotten what study was like. 2022 was about consolidating on the idea of smart schools in the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Here is the groundbreaking to reactivate the program. 9 of these schools have been completed, with 15 expected to be ready by end of July. So this meeting with Korea International Cooperation Agency is to assess progress made and consolidate where necessary.
Koikan has been involved in several activities of the program, including content development and the design of training courses. We hope to benefit immensely from their wealth of knowledge, experience, and expertise.
We are going to make kind of a next step. What is next step? Which is really key parts in the core part of this project. Teacher capacity building for digital education. So this project is not just only concerned about kind of installation of the infrastructure.
Completion of this project is at the heart of UBEC, with expectations to redefine activities at the basic education subsector. Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
From education to the water crisis facing the FCT with the upsurge in population. And Servicom is tasking the Water Board to strictly follow the recommendations of its compliance evaluation report to better serve Nigerians in this regard. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports.
The use of water is key to the survival of every living thing, especially humans. Though water is critical and basic for human existence, many are still battling to have this essential need. In Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, the Servicom in its compliance evaluation raised supply of water to Buhari, Gudu, Uye, Garki, and Nyakara areas poorly at 1.3–1.4%, while headquarters, Kubwa 1 and 2, gets fair supplies at 1.6%.
You need to engage them, you need to listen to them, you need to give them handles to talk, to feedback on the level of satisfaction they have.
I will go through all the issues raised here. I must say this is a very fair assessment of our activities, and this will provide a guidepost in ensuring that we improve our services where weaknesses have been identified.
JServicom is tasking the FCT Water Board to work on some lapses, including over-centralization of activities at the headquarters, lack of vehicles, and non-reflection of payment bills for optimal service delivery to the people. Ike Chukundukwe, NTA News.
The federal government has declared Monday 11th and Tuesday 12th July 2022 as public holidays to mark this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration. Congratulating Muslims and Nigerians on the occasion, the Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola assures citizens of the federal government's commitment to protecting lives and property, urging all to partner with government in fishing out suspicious individuals in their environment with the use of the e-alert security application designed to mitigate security challenges. And up next is Sports Update.
Defending champions Super Falcons of Nigeria are set to face Botswana in the second match of Group C at the ongoing 12th edition of Africa Women's Cup of Nations tonight in Rabat, Morocco. The fixture is a make or mar for the 9-time champions following their loss to South Africa in the first group match.
Everybody wants to halt the dominance of the Super Falcons in Africa. Everybody wants to create an upset. Everybody wants to use the Super Falcons to make a news. But I would want to tell people that it is our duty as a team to make sure that we sustain and maintain our number one spot in Africa.
NTA will beam the match live at 9 p.m. Meanwhile, 4 Super Falcons players made the list of nomination for CAF Player of the Year award, namely Asisat Oshala, Rashidat Ajibade, Uchenna Kano, and goalkeeper Chiamaka Nadozie. Man the Gift also got nominated in 2 categories, including Young Player of the Year and Inter-Club Player of the Year awards, alongside Mary Ann Ezenago and Flourish Sebastian. The CAF Awards will hold July 21 in Rabat, Morocco. In the meantime, the Cycling Federation of Nigeria has released a list of 35 cyclists selected to represent the country at the second African Track Cycling Championships scheduled for Abuja July 14 to 17, 2022. The list is made up of 21 male and 14 female cyclists who were selected from the national trials conducted in Abuja in June and have been in camp in Abuja.
Also, we have the female elite cyclists that will be representing Nigeria in the UCI World Cup that is coming up in Colombia. The second and the third edition of the UCI Track Championship to enable our cyclists qualify for the next Olympics.
20 African countries will compete for top prizes in 11 events, including 500 meters / 1 kilometer time trials, Keirin, team sprint, individual pursuit, team pursuit, scratch, elimination, omnium, point race, and Madison. That's Sports Update. I am Kene Ima Aburike, NTA News.
Sports Update concludes nationwide this Thursday. Do continue to keep supporting NTA's global campaign against rape and rapists. Thanks for watching.